No One Left Behind, written by OGGruntComm. Click, click, click. The clock on the wall was louder than it had any right to be. "Norpat," said the soft, measured voice from across the room. "Have you been doing your work that we discussed last time?" The Larian veteran didn't answer right away. He was too busy watching his own hands. 3 long fingers, blue skin dull with age and ash. One traced the scar that split his palm. A tear formed in his right eye. Click, click, click. "Contact! Right!" a scream yelled out in the distance, barely distinguishable from the chaotic cacophony of screams, pleas for help, explosions, and gunfire from every direction. The same hands seen before were now covered in blood and hanging flesh. A large gash scratched across the Larian's right hand. His face shot up towards the direction of the contact, only to see a wall and the same repeating sound of the clock. "Yeah, talked to some of the humans recently," the Larian responded. He looked back over to see the female Larian sitting in a custom white pod. She adjusted her position for a bit more comfort. Click, click, click. "That's good. Where have you been meeting?" the female asked inquisitively. "Over at the smoke pit," he responded, his eyes refusing to look back down at his hands. "That's a Terran bar, correct? Are you indulging again, Norpat?" she asked, a hint of frustration hidden in her voice. "Just, meeting there," he replied. Click, 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 rack. "Guns up!" a voice called. The sound of a large caliber machine gun quickly followed. A man stood holding a massive belt-fed machine gun in his arms and holding down a trigger. The bright flash illuminated the muddied floor below. Purple bolts zipped past the man as he fired. His face was determined, but wore a slight smile. The beard in his face was partly singed from the near miss. The searing pain quickly overtook the Larian's mind. He looked down to see another human tightening a tourniquet around his heavily damaged right leg. He yelped in pain from the tightening. All he wondered was the tourniquet removed. Fuck that leg. "Hernandez!" the corpsman yelled out. The Terran Marine quickly ran over and slid into the small divot left by the mortar impact. "Check the others. This one's losing a lot of fucking blood," the corpsman said. He used his teeth to rip open the bandage with the plastic coating, placing it over one of the wounds that pulsed with the Larian's life force spilling over the blackened ground. "The Terrans," the female Larian interjected. The scene snapped out of view instantly from Larian's visage. He found himself staring at a small family photo. He looked up at the female again. "What about them?" he questioned, a hint of defensiveness growing. "How do you feel about them? The ones you fought with?" she asked. "They helped me," he said, his eyes tearing up a bit more. The words cracked in his throat. "Yes. The report said that they disengaged from their own mission, came to your unit when they heard about a mass maze?" "Mass cas. It's what they call it when there are more casualties than medical resources can support," he said in a robotic way, as if he had repeated the same line over and over. "Yeah. The command to withdraw was given to your unit. You couldn't leave, correct?" she questioned. Click, click, clunk. "They're all KI, Simmons. It's just that one," the Terran Marine said after checking the vitals of the nearby downed Larian soldiers. "Doc, they're fucking pushing us," the Marine firing the machine gun said. His gun stopped firing, and once it did, he slid back into the pit with the others. Hey, listen, soldier," the corpsman said to Norpat, slapping him across the face and then gripping his lower mandible. "I'm gonna fucking move you, okay? You grab a gun and keep shooting." "Doc!" Hernandez called out, firing his rifle above the crater. "We gotta go." A purple bolt exploded against his visor. His head snapped back from the impact, and before he even hit the ground, his helmet had already melted into his skull. "They shouldn't have come. Our own people left us. They saw how bad the situation was. They should have stayed away." Norpat's eyes began to pour. His hands tensed, the old pain returning again. "They chose to come. This isn't your fault," the Larian female said, writing a few notes. "It makes no sense. None," he said in anger growing within him. "Combat doctrine stated that during a mass casualty event, all remaining active combat personnel are to fall back and begin defensive preparations. Why would they come?" he yelled out. His scales turned a shade of orange. "It's not your fault, Norpat," the Larian female repeated. "The hells it isn't!" he shot up, the pod behind him falling backward. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Thor 1-1, this is Thor 3-3. We are requesting immediate reinforcements to my last known pinged position. We have 10 casualties, 8 black Larians and 1 black Marine, 1 yellow Larian. I need covering fire for a hasty retreat, over. The corpsman called over his net. He pulled on the back portion of Norpat's plated vest. The other Marine fired from a covered position. Once the corpsman passed his position, he lifted Hernandez's body up and ran backward to set up a new position. Norpat felt himself drifting in and out of consciousness, periodically pressing the trigger of his plasma rifle to return fire. "Copy, 5 bikes over," the doc said in his comms line. He then turned his attention to the other Marine. "Jackson, unit is rerouting to our position. Hold here." The corpsman dropped Norpat behind a destroyed wall. He grabbed his own rifle, attached to his pack, and began firing towards the rear. The number of purple bolts grew in quantity and intensity with each moment. A large explosion erupted about 50 meters from their position. Flesh, dirt, and mud sprinkled across them as the other Marine caught up to the corpsman and dropped Hernandez beside Norpat. His eyes opened, locking with Norpat's. "I think this is a good time to stop, Norpat. We did good here," the female Larian said, slowly standing. Norpat took a deep breath and ran his fingers across his face. "Yeah." He walked up and grabbed a small bag from beside the pod where he sat. "Next time, Doc, Don't worry about it, Norpat. You're heading back home or—" "No. I'll see you later," Norpat said before leaving. Click, click, click. "I'm black on ammo," the machine gunner Marine shouted. He unholstered his pistol and continued firing into the distance. "Down to 1, Norpat, you up," the Nock said, snapping the Larian's face again, getting a light reaction from his eyes. "If you fucking die, you suck. Stop being a fucking pussy and wake the fuck up," the corpsman said before firing the burst. A purple bolt soon impacted the shoulder of the corpsman, causing him to reel backwards and fall into the ground. "Fuck!" he cried out. "Williams, help me out of here!" The corpsman noticed the slumped body of the machine gunner Marine, flesh from the new craters in his chest still popping from the heat. He looked to Norpat and kicked him with his damaged foot, causing him to cry out in pain. "Stay the fuck awake," he said before unholstering his sidearm, placing it in his lap, and then putting Norpat up against his body. He trained the pistol in front of him, hearing the sounds of approaching footsteps near the damaged wall. "I got you! I got you!" the corpsman said, his hand shaking from the pain of his other shoulder. Norpat's eyes trailed up to the sign. The smoke pit glowed in neon signage above the large, red-bricked building. Several hover cars were parked outside with a few humans and Terran veterans hanging about. As he approached the building, one of them nodded to him. He nodded back and opened the door to reveal the inside of a large tavern. His eyes locked with the 1st Marine Division flag, alongside many others strung along the ceiling. Click, click, click. "Hey, Larian lump of shit! Over here, you blind bastard!" the older Terran cried out. Norpat turned to see a familiar face, his frown turning into a smile. "I'd shake your hand, but," Norpat quipped. "Ah, feck you," the Terran veteran said, throwing a beer at Norpat's chest. Norpat caught the bottle before it hit the floor, cradling it in both hands for a moment longer than needed. "You still got reflexes. Good. Sit down," Simmons said, sliding a chair out with his boot. As Norpat sat, the clamor of the bar faded just a little. Flags above swayed gently in the draft from the cooling system, each one a memory, a name, a fight they all shared. He placed the bottle down, looked at Simmons, then at the others around him. For the first time in a while, he didn't feel like the last one left behind. Alone. "To the ones who didn't make it," Simmons said, raising a fresh drink. Norpat raised his own. "To the ones who choose to stay." They drank, and, for a fleeting moment, the clock in his mind fell silent. End of story. Story number 2. Human Hunger, written by LgFatherAnthrocite. Have you ever seen a human eat? During a celebration, when humans really eat. When they ignore conventional wisdom, health, and their own well-being. Yeah, we all know they eat some weird stuff. I'm still trying to figure out tacos, like meat and vegetables together, and, Bolak protect me, cheese. But what they eat aside, how much they can eat is truly astonishing. Most of the time, it's not a big deal, but occasionally, they eat enough to satiate a rampaging Noone call. I went with a friend to a thing called a barbecue, Burlak weeps. There were half a dozen different kinds of meat dishes, all roasted over open flames. They had burgers, hot dogs, named after the animal, but doesn't contain any actual dog, thankfully. Pork chops, chicken legs, steaks, and something called ribs. Heaped over stacks of each dish were loaded onto the table. Various sauces and toppings were supplied as well. There were also several types of vegetable dishes, made of grains, tubers, leafy greens, sweet fruits, and more. Many of these came with sauces and toppings as well. There were a myriad of baked goods on top of that. Buns, rolls, cookies, brownies, pastries, and more. There were tubes full of beverages as well, many containing ethanol, and were almost painfully cold. People were wandering around the yard of the host, engaging in conversation and casually consuming food. By the end of the gathering, nearly all the food was gone. Piles of meat, fruit, vegetables, and baked goods all gone. Dozens of drinks consumed. A dozen humans had eaten enough food to satisfy a whole battalion of Gurkic soldiers. And the spread at their feast holidays is no different. Whole roasted birds stuffed with all manner of things, dozens of side dishes, and numerous desserts. Some humans eat so much they go into a food coma. I often wonder what biological pressure necessitated such a excess. Was it some sort of fat-building process for lean times? Why would they do this? Then I find out about the competitive eating. Humans actually compete to eat enormous amounts of food as fast as possible. I once saw a video of a human eating a sizable percentage of his own body weight in fried chicken, hot dogs, pies, burritos, just as weird as tacos, in my opinion, pancakes, bacon, and more, all of their own competitions. Humans do this for fun. It's like watching a merman take down and eat a Noone. Like, it's so bizarre you can't look away, but at the same time it's oddly horrifying. And you ask a human about this, and they'll barely comment on it. Everyone eats at holidays or parties or always have food. They don't even realize how weird it is. It's a little disturbing how obsessed humans are with eating too. It's built into their language. They would actually say baked right into the language. Then there's hungry eyes, or the quickest way to a man's heart is through the stomach, or I could eat a horse, sweet as pie, tough cookie. The food metaphors are endless. I swear, humans are endlessly hungry. Kind of explains the wide breadth of food items they consume. I guess, in that context, tacos do make sense. Still don't get it, though. End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.